Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the Dan Talk podcast. I'm your host, Jordan Burt. And today I have two special guests helping me out. I got the man, the myth, the legend, Jake McAnally.
Howdy, howdy.
And then I got the GOAT himself, Brandon Ashmore.
What's going on?
All right, so today is going to be a little interesting. I'm starting to get a little bit better at this live stream stuff a little bit. We're actually live right now on Instagram. So my Instagram people, thank you for joining us. If you have a question, just go ahead and send it in the chat and I'll give it to everybody else to answer along. So today we have three determined topics that we're going to talk about today. First one's going to be WandaVision, the season finale. Just a whole bunch of stuff happened with that. Whether some of our theories right, some of our theories wrong, is all over the place. And then the second main topic is going to be Captain America Civil War. Who was right, who was wrong between Tony and Cap. That's a big issue and discussion between a lot of Marvel fans and everything. And then our third main topic will be who is the best MCU character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So a lot of people have different opinions. And from what I'm seeing on Jake's background right now, he's picked the very famous rat that helped Ant-Man out and made Endgame possible for us. Okay. So, all right. So let's start with WandaVision. So spoiler alert for those who are watching on Instagram and everything. If you have not seen WandaVision, the last episode, I suggest you may have to come back a little later, about 10 minutes or so. But guys, Jake, Brandon, dude, the finale of WandaVision was fantastic, in my opinion. It didn't end the way I wanted it to, but in all the instances, it answered a lot of questions that have been bugging me since the very first episode. So, guys, let me get your opinion first. Brandon, how did WandaVision, the finale, go for you?
I completely agree with you. I think it was a great finale. And I know like a lot of people were kind of disappointed. Like some of the theories didn't end up, turning out to be anything. But overall, I love the way that they were able to really focus on Wanda's just emotional growth. And I think that the way that they framed the finale and her finally becoming the Scarlet Witch, and even though it was really sad, but, her sacrificing her family to kind of do the right thing. Ultimately, I think it was like the best that they could have done with it. And I think it was awesome.
I agree completely with you, Brandon. Jake, how did you feel about the finale, man?
It was good. I guess like since we were being boozled with theories that we were gonna have some like big appearance. I mean, like everybody's assumptions of what was gonna happen was probably a little bit outlandish, but I think we gotta realize that it's starting this new wave rather than like closing one. So it's not gonna be some like home run person every single time that we finish something. I mean, like the Mandalorian, they got Luke Skywalker at the end of the second season. This is just the first season of a show. I don't know. Are they doing a second season?
There's a lot of speculation on whether or not they're going to do a WandaVision second season and everything. I really don't know, especially with how the story arc between the multiverse is supposed to go between WandaVision, Spider-Man, No Way Home, and then Doctor Strange into the multiverse and everything. So, that's kind of up in the air. Nobody has really given a definitive answer about that. But, I kind of agree with you on the whole, a lot of people put their expectations up about, the big cameo and whatnot. So, but I'm glad y'all both enjoyed it as best as y'all can and everything. So, but really my thoughts and my reactions was, it ended it the way it needed to, in my opinion, emotionally wise for Wanda. We started off with Wanda in Age of Ultron. Yes, she got her powers from the Mind Stone, Loki's staff and everything. But I mean, that was just basically it. It just went like, oh, she got experimented on by Strucker and Hydra and all them. And she just got her powers. So, and her brother Pietro. So, there really wasn't much background upon that. Somebody just sent in a live question. Wanda is going to look for her kids in the multiverse. Warren, that is a good theory right there. A lot of people are speculating, especially at the end of the final episode where she's doing basically Doctor Strange stuff. That's the vibe I got from that was her, especially good comparison is in Infinity War when Doctor Strange is doing his thing, seeing the 14,605 different outcomes of the fight between them and Thanos, you know, that was really the big connection right there between Wanda and Doctor Strange. I thought so. Appreciate that, Warren. You know, thank you. But yeah, no, I honestly think like this series gave us a definitive story, and background, and details about Wanda as a character and as a person. And I agree. You know, the very end, you know, it was very emotional, and she's probably still going to be looked at as the villain of it, even though everybody in the Hex, you know, was under her control, and you know, they kind of snapped on her a little bit towards the end and everything. But they will never know what she sacrificed, losing Tommy and Billy, and then her version of Vision. So, you know, I honestly cannot wait to see where things go past WandaVision and everything. So, along with that, you know, talking about Doctor Strange, do you think Wanda is going to be a villain in Doctor Strange, an antagonist, or is she going to be somewhat part of Doctor Strange alliance and everything, being the good guy? Because the way Agnes was like, you don't know what you just unleashed into the world when Wanda went full Scarlet Witch on us, you know. So do y'all think she's going to be a villain, a friend, a foe? You know, I want your opinion, Brandon.
So I think going back to the comics, like, so it wasn't like the creator of the Darkhold, wasn't it like this elder god or something called Cthon,
Yeah.
right? And in the comics, didn't Cthon actually like possess Scarlet Witch?
Yes and no to some extent. Yeah, I think he was more like the devil on the shoulder, you know, hey, you should do this and hey, you should do that. So, I mean, give or take, you know, just depends on your interpretation of it. But from what I got, it was more of the devil on the shoulder kind of thing, you know, kind of manipulating her in some sense.
Okay. Because honestly, I think based on that, I could kind of see like Cthon kind of showing up in a way and influencing Wanda to do certain things.
Yeah.
And I think by her like by her reading through the Darkhold and learning it, I think there's going to be some influence on her that's going to be antagonistic to Doctor Strange and you know the rest of the whole super force. I don't know what you what you call them, but yeah, I think she's gonna be like I think she's gonna be more antagonistic, but I don't think she'll be like the main focus.
I got you.
Like the main villain.
Yeah.
She'll be the main focus, but not the main villain.
I got you. All right, Jake, your interpretation?
Yeah, I mean, with the way that the show's going, like if I just had to guess after watching, it's kind of like they wanted us to picture Wanda like at the start as his like perfect image, like in her own world, is what we came to find out. And so then kind of realize a lot of it is self-absorbed.
Yeah.
And so she like creates all these things to hide the real problems in her life. And so I'm kind of like what Brandon said, she won't be the main antagonist, but like I think she'll like some of her weaknesses will come out. It comes time to get stuff done, I guess, as a group.
Yeah. And I agree completely, guys, with both of y'all's interpretations and everything. I will say the big thing is like when Agatha Harkness was like, the Scarlet Witch is more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme. That right there just blew my mind. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? You're telling me she's way more powerful than Doctor Strange? And then she has the book at the end of the season and it is learning everything possible, you know, and you're putting her in the movie with Doctor Strange. Like that just blows my mind to the extent of like, how are they going to put this out? Because in my instances, this is like the reverse way of House of M, if y'all know what that is, which is basically where Wanda gets rid of mutants and everything, and then vice versa brings back the mutants. It's a crazy storyline in that sense. But I think in here, in the MCU context, it's going to be people are not wanting to have mutants around. They're going to think that all the mutants are bad. Basically, kind of how the X-Men movies from the early 2000s started off. Like, okay, mutants are here, yes, but we don't want anything to do with them. They're bad in every shape, form, or fashion. Hence, Magneto. and now in the MCU, hence Wanda, because that's another thing too. Is Wanda a mutant or is she a witch? Because right now I can't really tell the difference between them because they play both sides of mutant and witch sides of the comic book. So how do y'all feel about it? I know she was experimenting on with Loki's staff and everything, but along with that, when we were going through the recap with Agatha Harkness taking her through all the trauma and the real reruns and everything, apparently she already had like witch magic powers before even getting experimented on with the Loki staffs. How do y'all feel about it? Is she a witch, a mutant?
Could she be both?
She could, and that's where I'm kind of leaning towards, because that's how Marvel basically put it out on the table with the series, is going back and forth between, she's a mutant, but she was experimenting on and going back to the Salem witch trials and everything. Witches have been around for centuries now. So I guess you could play both sides of it. I really don't know. Jake, how did you feel about it?
I mean, I could see it as both. Does this have like any tie to like the two ending credit scenes? Like, because you had the last one, obviously she's a witch, but then how does that first one tie in?
Oh, you're talking about the Scroll and Monica?
Yeah, because it's like who are they talking about? Like,
okay,
they
so
got a friend for you.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
So with that, Brandon, you've probably seen Captain Marvel too. Jake just watched it a couple days ago and everything. So
unfortunately,
so
it wasn't a terrible movie.
It was awful in the first half. The second half was good.
Yeah. So to explain that little credit scene right there with Monica and the Scroll, that Scroll is actually the daughter at the end of WandaVision. That's the Scroll daughter that's talking to Monica as a kid and everything. That's the same one. And that basically when they're at the end of WandaVision, when she's like, our friend told me to come get you, basically, and he wants to meet with you. I think that's tying into Nick Fury, because they're doing Secret Invasions on Disney Plus, which is basically Marvel's played around with our emotions and how these characters are introduced. So it's like we got introduced to Skrulls and Captain Marvel, and supposedly they were the bad guy, but come to find out they're just the good guys, trying to survive in the world without trying to be obliterated from existence and everything. Sweet. So, but that's basically answering your question, Jake, is that basically Nick Fury's calling for Monica to come up to Sword, and basically that's going to tie into Captain Marvel 2 and the Secret Invasions series on Disney Plus whenever we get that, which will be like 2023, I think, or something like that. So,
well, yeah, I guess like I would lean towards both just so they have all the options on the table. I don't want to just settle on one side or the other. I'll go both as well.
All right, cool. All right, and our last little thing with WandaVision is, do you think Agatha Harkness will show up in Doctor Strange 2 to help out Wanda in Doctor Strange? Brandon?
All right, so I saw an interesting theory on this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So while they were fighting, right, Agatha had said something, and she was like, I take power from those that are undeserving. You remember hearing that?
Yeah, that Mordo. Yeah.
Yeah, who does that sound like? Baron Mordo.
Yep.
And Baron Mordo, he's gonna come back, right?
Yeah.
I don't think they're just gonna let him just go. Like, he's gonna come back. So imagine Baron Mordo and Agatha somehow meeting up and like joining and combining forces, and then them two kind of fighting against Doctor Strange and Wanda and try to take their powers and stuff, all while they're trying to deal with whatever it is that Wanda's unleashed in the world.
Yeah.
I think it would make for a pretty interesting plot line. So I definitely don't think this is the last we've seen Agatha, for sure.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good theory right there. I wouldn't mind that at all, especially considering how Agatha, has been alive since the Salem witch trials and everything. So, that's a good possibility. And of course, Baron Mordo at the end of Doctor Strange, there's too many sorcerers in the world and everything. So, that could play a lot. So, Jake, how do you feel? Do you think we're going to see Agatha Harkness in Doctor Strange 2 or in any time in the future of the MCU?
Well, it's if there's anything about Marvel, you can die and you're gonna be back.
Yep.
Like, so yeah, we're gonna see her again.
And a lot of people are kind of upset how Marvel handles the death of a certain character, and then they bring them back like the next movie in somewhat shape, form, or fashion. So, to me, give or take in the comic books, give or take in the comic books, for example, Peter Parker dies many times in the comic books, but he always comes back in some shape, form, or fashion. So
he's built.
He is definitely built different. Yes, indeed. All right, guys. Well, that concludes the topic of WandaVision. Let's go on now to topic number 2. Topic number 2 deals with Captain America Civil War. Who was right? Who was wrong? Was Cap in the right? Was Tony in the right? So, Brandon, how do you feel about it so far?
Well, I'm a little biased. I like Tony just better than Cap, just overall. But if I had to say who was right, I think Cap was right. But I think Tony had the right idea, but he just kind of went about it the wrong way. I'm thinking, Tony, first of all, we would expect it to be like the opposite, right? Because Tony's normally like I do my own thing. I don't need anybody's help. Why would he need government's help? But I think after Age of Ultron, like that just messed him up mentally so much, knowing that he messed up so bad in that way that he was like, okay, I need to fall back. We need help. And I think that those events are what spurred him to side with the government, even though I think he really did favor Cap's side, to be honest.
Yeah.
But he just wanted to do it the right way, and he didn't want to make the same mistakes that he did in Age of Ultron. So ultimately, I guess they're both right, but they just went about it in different ways.
I agree. And look, some Marvel fans will be like, you have to choose a side. And I mean, all honesty, they're both right and wrong in their own instances. Jake, how do you feel? Was Cap right? Was Tony right?
Well, I took a lot of marketing classes in school, and the Avengers are somewhat of a PR nightmare considering how toxic they like to they go about saving the world in the most destructive way possible. So I mean, I'd side with Cap because he's choosing the best people to help save the world, where Tony just wants to, I wouldn't say take the easy way out, but he's taking the more safe approach when it comes to protecting the image of the Avengers. So I mean, I side with Cap because I guess he's doing it with more pure intentions.
I got you. I agree with that, and especially after every Avengers movie, basically, some shape, form, or fashion, there's a city being destroyed, whether that be New York, Sokovia, Wakanda at the end in Infinity War, and then of course the Avengers facility up north in the state, New York State, and everything. So, in my opinion, this is a hard thing because I like both the characters. I wasn't too big of a Captain America fan going up with the movies and everything, but as they developed his character a little bit more, I kind of side a little bit more with Captain Rogers. But then again, it's like, man, my man Tony has been through so much and tries to do the best that he can. I mean, take for example in Iron Man 3, where he's just building a suit for any possible, predicament that's going to happen, whether that be, the Hulk Buster, if Hulk goes crazy, which we did see in Age of Ultron, or the submarine one that you go underwater at whatever depth of water, and then the spacesuit and all these suits. And he saw a suit of armor around the world to protect the world from, more bigger threats like Thanos, space, and everything, which ultimately that's how we got Ultron, which ended up being completely, shot in the foot because he wanted to destroy the human world because he saw humans as its own threat to themselves. So, but as you go on in the MCU, I think I'm going to lean more towards Tony because he has better intentions, because the Avengers were made to help protect the world. even when they can't protect themselves. And you have to have that support of the world to say, yeah, you're doing the right thing. By all means, we're going to side with you and, help out whenever we can. And, but ultimately there can go good and wrong ways, like Spider-Man Homecoming, for example. That's how you get Adrian Toomes. He's taking up all the salvage alien tech and everything and making his own stuff for his benefit because of what Tony did to him, cutting all his work loads and everything away. So, but in the instances, I think Tony had more of an emotional, moral story and backup for wanting the Avengers to be under some leadership, at least. Just because, I mean, take for example the kid that died in the Age of Ultron. Apparently, that when Tony gives the speech during Civil War, and he meets the mom of the kid that died and whatnot at the elevator, she's like, "You killed my son, even though you were trying to save the world, you still killed him. You killed millions of people, all because of y'all's actions trying to save the world." So, and I think that really changed his mindset of like, okay, yeah, we're doing the wrong thing. We're going about this the wrong way. We need some form of control. And, of course, here's all 72 countries of the world signing the Sokovia Accord, saying the Avengers will no longer be a private organization, that they will be run by a committee that will say, yes, you can go do this. No, you can't go do that. So, I think I'm going to side more with Iron Man on this one, Tony. So
that's fair.
Guys on the Instagram, how do y'all feel about Captain America Civil War? Do you feel like Tony was in the right or Cap was in the wrong and everything? So let us know in the comments. All right, guys. So our third and final main topic today will be which character in the MCU is the best character. And if y'all can't see on Jake's little background, I think his pick is very clear and everything. So
we'll see.
So, Brandon, who do you think is the best character in the MCU so far, in your opinion, out of all the movies so far?
It's a tough one, man. The best character out of all the movies?
All the movies.
Man. It's got to be Captain Marvel. No, I'm just playing. I like Captain Marvel, but I like Captain Marvel, but
that's a hot take right there. I'll say you that much.
I don't know. She gets a movie at the very end, and then shows up in Endgame is just like, oh, like I'm so important.
Yeah.
Yet she's done nothing for the entirety of all the phases. She's just like, everybody listen to me. I'm taking over now. I'm the captain now. And she just didn't think to me. She kind of shows up and then doesn't really add anything.
Oh, somebody on the live chat just said, Abigail said, my favorite character is Hulk and Black Panther. Give me a reason why. I want details on why you think these characters are the most important in the MCU. But yeah, I agree completely, Jake. Like Captain Marvel just showed up out of nowhere. Like, where was she at? Like when they were time traveling and everything, going to get the stones, like you would think easily she could be like there as a very beneficial person to get all these stones and everything. So, okay.
I guess my real answer would probably have to be Iron Man.
Iron Man?
Kind of basic, but I mean, that's Iron Man, that's my guy, man. Like, he started the whole thing, man. And, he helped Nick Fury build the Avengers.
Yeah.
Obviously he had his quirks and his problems and things that led to, a bunch of bad stuff. But ultimately, I think, man, he tried his best and he grew. He grew, he evolved as a character.
And I think that's a really good point that you made, is that he has his mistakes and he's made mistakes and everything. That's what I really like about Marvel characters, especially the movies. They ground the character before that character becomes such a big, superhero level kind of thing. So you pointed that out. Yeah. I just wanted to say that's one thing I just love about these movies, is that they ground each character before these characters become the big superhero that they are and everything. So, all right, Brandon's going with Iron Man.
I feel like Tony needed the most growth, so I'm glad he started the series and ended the series, because I mean, like his personality is just like just very toxic and just like it's all about him, and then he turns into like the sole like team captain almost.
Yeah.
It's just like he risked his life for anybody when back at the start.
Yeah.
It was just like, nah, I'm gonna just drop bombs in Syria and whatnot.
Yeah. Well, Abigail right now in the chat said Hulk is totally slept on until Endgame, which I agree. But I mean, to answer that question, Abigail, is because Universal owns the rights to Hulk. So Marvel only owns a percentage of it to where he can't be the main character of a movie. He can only be like a side character. So that's kind of why, we really haven't gotten much Hulk content in that sense. But I mean, we're getting the She-Hulk series, which is supposed to introduce his cousin and everything, and that he's supposed to be in there too, some shape, form, or fashion. As long as he's not the main character, they can use Hulk, but in the sense of, they have to fit him in certain little areas of the movies. And then she also said Black Panther just because Black Panther. So, but Jake, Ibambe. So, Jake, who you got to agree? Are you going with Tony on this one with Brandon, or you got a character in mind?
Absolutely not. All right. So as you can see behind me is one of the most important characters that happen in the universe because he ends up saving it. Without the rat, I think we could have this open-ended question. Does it play out the way we expect it to?
That's a good point.
I don't know this.
So everybody on the live stream on Instagram, Jake has his character. The most important character of the MCU is the rat at the beginning of Endgame that let out Aunt Lang from the quantum realm. And of course, you can't see his background, but when you see the YouTube video, you'll see it and everything. But
yes,
it's perfect. I love this, and it's great. But
we'll throw it up there.
Yeah, it's fine. We'll get it. We'll show everybody. But interesting move there, Jake. I will have to say that's an interesting choice. But in the sense, you're right. You're right, though. If that rat didn't let out Aunt Lang, who's to say, things wouldn't have changed from Endgame, all these characters kind of doing different things, Cap being a motivational counselor in some shape, form, or fashion, and then Black Widow taking over like the only Avengers left, kind of maintaining the governments of the world. And, my big thing is with that, who was in charge of Wakanda? Because Black Panther got dusted away, and Okoye, so did Shuri. Shuri got dusted away too. And so that leaves, the mantle open. Who's to know M'Baku didn't, get vanished either, which now that I think about it, he didn't get vanished. He was still at the end of Infinity War. Now I think about it, but, he could have taken over Wakanda just for the period of time that, T'Challa was dusted away. So
I have a second character.
Okay, who's your second character?
This is controversial.
Oh Lord.
But it's Doctor Strange, because also at the end of Endgame, the most iconic scene in cinematic history, do not at me. They're left there in shambles. Thanos is about to just end it all, and then all of a sudden, all that,
yeah,
and then all the portals.
I agree.
What if Doctor Strange doesn't learn how to do all this and open portals to all these different places? There is no final battle scene. Not iconic.
I agree.
There is no saving the Avengers. Thanos is just gonna end you.
Yeah.
In Endgame, it was about to be donezo, and without Doctor Strange, there is no final battle and there is no victory. So,
interesting move there, Cotton. I will say, hey, look, I'm gonna have to agree with you, Jake. Doctor Strange, like, that's tough because I love Iron Man, I love Spider-Man, I love all the characters. But if I had to put the most important character in the MCU, it's got to be Doctor Strange, just because of the direction that they're going with, like, the multiverse and everything. He deals with that specifically in the comic books. And of course, he at the beginning of Infinity War, when him and Tony finally meet up and everything, and he's like, we're protecting your reality, D-hole and everything. So I think in the instances, like how the direction of the MCU is going, like Doctor Strange is basically taking over Tony's position in the MCU, being the most important character and everything. And like you said, Jake, if he didn't tell Tony, there's only one chance that we can defeat Thanos, even after 5 years of getting their ends put in by Thanos on Titan and everything, out of the 14,605 possibilities, there was only one. And then, of course, at the end of Endgame, when Tony's like, you better be right, or that he was like, tell me this is the final, tell me this is it. And then, of course, Doctor Strange's like, well, if I tell you, it won't happen. So he knew. I'm sorry. Say what, Brennan?
But who invented time travel, though?
The Infinity Stone.
No, but who figured it out for the Avengers to even be able to do that?
But think about this, though. If Tony didn't survive on Titan, when Doctor Strange gave the time stone to Thanos, when Thanos was about to obliterate Tony with all the other 4 Infinity Stones, who's to say who would have invented time travel? Because Tony's the one that invented it, but in the sense of if Doctor Strange didn't give Thanos the time stone, Tony would be obliterated. So then you would not have Endgame whatsoever. It would literally end on a snap like that.
That would have really hurt.
Yeah. So did it. Okay, hold on. Somebody. Abigail said, "Heartbreaking. Can I donate to Disney to help purchase the Hulk from Universal?" Guys, if y'all trying to pitch in on money, we can do this right now. I want the Hulk back so we can get a Hulk movie and done better this time. That's all I got to say.
I would love for the Hulk to actually get his own movie. It's kind of annoying.
Abigail also said
that first one was awful.
Yeah, give or take, they tried with the best that they could. That was at the beginning of the MCU anyway. So Kevin Feige was still trying to figure out, how we're going to tie all these little stories into the big, Avenger style movie and everything. Yeah. Abigail also said, "What about the Queen Mother?" Oh, Black Panther. I think I want to say she was also dusted too, Abigail, if I'm remembering correctly, at the beginning of Endgame when Tony and all of them are at the table discussing and seeing all the images pop up of, the characters dusted away and everything. So I want to say she was dusted, but I could be completely wrong and everything. But I'm going to go with Doctor Strange on the most important character, especially leading into the future of the MCU and everything, because without him, most of everything that happened in between Infinity War and then Endgame, wouldn't happen. And then, of course, all this stuff that they're doing with the multiverse, with WandaVision and Spider-Man and, all that and everything, I think he's going to play a really big part in it. And, of course, Benedict Cumberbatch said plenty of times he's wanting to play this character for a very, very long time. So,
Good.
We shall see.
I love the movies. It's just visually pleasing and just like interesting.
Yeah.
All the divine.
And with Sam Raimi coming back, to direct Doctor Strange 2, I think that was an interesting choice in itself, especially how Sam Raimi directed the original Spider-Man trilogy with Tobey Maguire and everything. I think that it will be really interesting. And I think we're going to get a lot of visual sequences and everything with how they do their magic and everything, especially if we got the Scarlet Witch coming back too, that's a big thing right there. So, all right. Any last little things, guys, before I let y'all go?
No, I think that's it.
That's it for you. Brandon, you have anything left to put on the table for us?
I think that's it, Chief.
All right. Well, guys, I appreciate you all. And Brandon, Jake, I appreciate y'all joining me today. Thank you to everybody on the Instagram live feed for sending in your questions and comments and everything. I really do appreciate it. So, guys, also, I'm going to start doing just little solo videos for Wednesday. And this is going to be just little stuff here and there instead of like the big topics that we do on Sunday and everything. I'm going to do a little Wednesday just by myself, give Brendan and Jake a little time to relax and chillax and do their stuff that they need to do and everything. So, all right, guys. Well, that will do it for our second episode of the podcast, of the Dan Talk podcast. So take it easy and see y'all later.